Right, which are we? Very good. Ready for some? Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Time is upon us, so let's press on with the meeting. Yes, so yes, that was the agenda, people.
Yeah.
So, can we just talk about apologies for absence, please?
Someone else like an agenda?
Oh yeah, sorry for something else.
Leslie, do you mind passing those out for me? Has no reason why I'm going to You've got them there. Boys, would you like that?
So, who do we have apologies for?
Appreciate you and also Mike Collins sent his apologies.
Oh, okay, fine, thank you. So, in the context of the agenda for this evening, do any councillors have any personal prejudicial interest that you need to declare?
No.
No. Fine, thank you.
Sorry, Leslie,
So, minutes of last meetings, we have two meetings to consider. There was the parish meeting on the 1st of July, a monthly meeting where the minutes were duly drafted, circulated, reviewed, commented and incorporated. Are there any residual thoughts or comments from those now?
The minutes, I think you said 5th and 6th for the launch dates of the NHB consultations, the 4th and the 5th.
it's the Friday and the Saturday.
4th and 5th, I think you wrote down 5th and 6th.
Okay.
Is that correct?
I don't think I ever knew that. Okay.
I'm sure I saw a date there on that.
They are 5th and 6th. Would you like me to manually amend
Manually.
those?
Yeah, 4th and
Yes.
Okay, so I'll do 5th and 4th.
Okay.
Okay, an initial there.
I'm glad I now know that.
Anything else
Yeah, the 5th.
that we need to be aware of?
No, that's the only, no, apart from that, that's fine.
Okay, happy for me to sign?
Yep.
Jill with her new dual-sided printer, I can see. And the second set of minutes was the short meeting we had on the 22nd of July, an extraordinary meeting where we discussed the tenders and resolved the motion to appoint a firm of architects to help us with the feasibility study for the community centre. Again, these have been distributed for members of the public benefit. We have appointed a company called Hayward Smart, and we'll be talking more about that later on. Any observations on these minutes from councillors?
No.
Okay. Right, good. So, 099. Public participation. Open to the floor. Any questions, please, from members of the public?
Yeah,
So-
development 93 Asbury Road. I can't find any comment on the website from Highways on that at all.
Okay, thank you, Colin. Are you able to take that? now?
Highways.
I'm not implying in any way that Bucks County Council might have a vested interest in developing the adjacent field, obviously.
I cannot recall that without going on the site and having a look to see what's there.
Well, I checked again just before I came.
Yeah, it's not on there.
No.
But they're obliged to make a comment one way or the other.
This is what I thought. This is what I can't understand.
Yeah.
And
But when's the closure date on that?
crumbs it must have closed ages ago. Mine went in the beginning of June.
Kind of the end of July.
I mean,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is a pattern.
Hold on,
before-
hold on.
so-
It's a question, not a statement.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what we'll do is, if we may, we'll look into it
Yeah, and see.
and come back to you between meetings through the clerk or Colin
Yeah,
directly,
okay. I'll take
such
note
that
of
we don't enter into too long
Fair enough.
dialogue on it. All right?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Fair enough.
Right.
Anything else from members of the public?
Just one
Sorry,
thing.
yes.
Sorry, just one thing. Are we doing anything for the people at the beer festival just to say job well done?
Bear in mind our agenda went out before the bit.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We haven't
No.
discussed that
No,
in any
no,
shape or form, have
no.
we? But I see no reason
Okay.
why.
Thank you. We'll take it on board and we'll
Yeah.
probably take that offline and reflect on how we can do that if council so wish. Okay?
Is that it?
Right, okay, so you, Jill, for your report, please.
Right, since the last parish council meeting, we've been very busy implementing a variety of plans and really gelling together as a team. The councillors all undertook their councillor training with BALC, and all of our committees have met, along with some of our subcommittees. Members of the public are invited to attend committee meetings as well as these monthly council meetings, and the agendas for these are published on the notice board and on the website. There's the vacancy for the assistant clerk position closes this week on Friday, and we'll now be turning our attention to filling the 2 remaining places on the council. Applications to be co-opted onto the council close in the last week of August, and suitable applicants will be asked to attend the September meeting before final decisions are made. Anyone who is interested in joining the council should email their CV to me, and I also have some literature available with more details if anyone's interested in that. Meanwhile, our neighbourhood plan is well underway, with its website has now gone live, www.astonclintonneighbourhoodplan.org. And there will be a village consultation event the weekend of the 4th and 5th of September at the Anthony Hall. And finally, for anyone with connections to children, we've got our Play Around the Parishes event starting tomorrow afternoon from 2 till 4 in the park, with bouncy castles, soft play, arts and crafts and games, and if it's wet it's going to move inside the pavilion, and there's one each week for the next 3 weeks. That's it.
Right, good. Any questions from councillors of the park? No. So let's move on to finance and staff. In Susie's absence, I'm going to summarise. We had a routine F&S meeting last week. Yes. And Jill circulated the summary sheet and payments and receipts sheet from the accounts that we're now running. This is new for Jill, new for us, because obviously it's the first month we've done this, so a little bit of a learning exercise, but a couple of key things that do come out. Let's talk about receipts first of all. So we've taken in nearly £7,000 in the month of July, which includes an HMRC VAT refund and your £3,200 contribution grant for the neighbourhood plan. And what you can see, if it's got the same presentation as the way I printed it, we're actually putting those incomes against the various subheading lines, and that's what gets rolled up into the summary sheet. So it makes the audit trail stronger in terms of the quality of the accounts. Any questions on the receipt side of things?
Just come in.
So they come straight in.
Can
Can I just raise a question, please?
Yes.
What's the basis of the charge to the caravan club for the permits?
Based on what we've always done, up to review
Bargain,
whenever
isn't it?
you...
14 nights for £84.
£7 a night.
Yeah, £6
And how
per
many?
unit per night.
£6 per unit per night.
Yeah, per caravan per night. So it's not
there
14
weren't-
nights, but it's over the 3 nights.
So there weren't that many caravans here?
There weren't this time,
No.
'cause it rained the whole weekend.
Yeah, 14 caravans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, more the previous one.
Yes, that's the term, 14 caravan nights.
Yes, yeah. that's-
The whole point about permits and fees, I think, is something that we will want to pick up, perhaps not necessarily today, but in a facilities committee meeting, because there is a subcommittee specifically responsible for setting permits. So whether councillors think that is appropriate, that's the forum for us to consider that in the light of all the annual permits.
Yep.
All right?
Yeah.
On the payment side, what we've now got is a situation whereby things that are project costs and are plus or minus 10%, 15% of what we expect them to be, Jill is now authorised to go ahead and pay those. The way it actually works is that Jill brings this lot to the Finance and Staff Committee meeting. Some of them have already been paid, others we reviewed last week. We're looking at a slightly tighter process next month, whereby, because we have to have 2 persons authorising them, what Alan and I have been discussing with Jill, and we've got to work this through, is evidence of the invoice, the proposed payment and the entry in the sheet, those sorts of things. So we've got a slightly tighter process for the authorisation of those automatic payments, which don't need to be brought to council. So you're welcome to cast your eye down on those, but they're not here for approval this evening. The one that does need to be agreed, because it is a programme cost, is the advert for the vacancy, which was posted with SLCC for the clerk appointment. So that's the one that's in my sheet shown in red, payments to be agreed. So any questions on payments generally, and then I'll look for agreement to make that, for Jill to be able to make that single payment to SOCC. Questions? Yeah. Any questions on that side? Mine, okay.
Thank you.
So we're content for Jill to make that payment to SLCC for that advert. Fine, thank you. So coming back to the summary sheet, don't intend to go through this line by line. If you have any questions, please stop me. But the essence of what we now do, particularly for members of the public, is we are showing what we call outturn, i.e. the end of year picture was for 2014-15. We show on here what the budget is for 2015-16. There haven't been any approved budget changes, so that's a blank line. We have an indication of spend to date and forecast for the remainder of the year. That was in green for those with the coloured pictures. And then there's a forecast outturn, so it's basically actuals to date plus spend. And then it shows where we are above and below the line, so to speak, or ahead and behind in terms of the budget variance. Early days. What we also show is illustrating the individual receipt lines and the individual payment budget subheads. And then it shows right at the bottom of the line where we stand today in terms of a surplus, but I wouldn't get too excited about the size of the surplus, because many of the things that we thought we had to do we haven't found yet.
Yeah.
So it's early days in the year. But Jill and I have spoken to this as one slight area of confusion, which we're going to work on for next month in terms of percentage to date and percentage for the end of the year, but that's a small bit of detail. The grounds maintenance, or facilities committee and the grounds maintenance in particular, have sort of got their shopping list together, and they know pretty much what they want to spend, and they're looking to spend pretty much their budget against grounds maintenance running and planned. Colin, what we don't have in here is your £1,500 to £2,000 for your neighbourhood launch costs and other things.
Yeah.
And similarly, we don't have your expected consultancy. All we've got is historic.
Yeah.
So maybe your committee could, furnish Jill with your view of that, such that we can get a better forecast and then show what you've got left. And that's really what this is all about, for you to use this as a tool to see what you have spent and what you think you're going to spend and what gap you've got, and whether you need to come back and ask council to move money between budgets, such that we can sort of show the audit trail for that. Any questions? I'm more than happy for you to come back to me at any stage, or through to Jill at any stage around these numbers. But any immediate questions that come, since these were circulated a couple of days ago, on this summary sheet?
No.
Anything on this side?
No.
Peter? Okay.
No. Yes, thank you.
Right, Jill?
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Fine. So, month-end report, budget status, approval of expenditure, payments to agree, we've done that one. Equality and diversity policy.
This is me, isn't it?
I'd like to look to you for this.
Yes. In order that we can attract a broader base of people onto the council, I was concerned to find that we don't actually have a policy to deal with equality and diversity, so thereby where somebody is disadvantaged socially or physically and could be prevented from participating as a councillor because it would involve additional expenditure to them over and above what it would to the regular councillors. I felt it was appropriate that as a council we should have a policy that takes account of that increased expenditure, and it should be on the council to fund that expenditure to the individual. So thereby we level the playing field that says that anyone is welcome to be a councillor and has no reason for exclusion. Does that sum it up for anyone?
Yeah, I think that's the sort of discussions that we've been having in the sense of in the finance and staff meeting. Yeah.
And really what we're looking for is the view of the council on it. And there's a little bit of motion on it.
No, there isn't a motion.
Have you prepared a draft?
No, I think that's probably the next stage. What I would like, through perhaps the FNS vehicle, finance and staff team, is to look at precedent, because there must be an expenses thing for councillors, you know, somewhere in one of the documents or books that we've got as to how that's handled. And then for us, as Liz has indicated, to put together a draft policy paper.
I wanted it very clear though that it is about very specific circumstances and not somebody claiming the shoe leather from walking from Green End Street
Yeah.
to the park.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's about if
Well, I think those guidelines would spell that out, wouldn't they?
They would actually. You can get, I mean, I could, well, we have them at work, so I think it's pretty useful. If you need a draft, look at it as a sort of
Oh, that'd be helpful. Yes.
Yeah, it would be.
as a sort of
Yes.
precedent, you know.
Rather than working out from first
Then you look at
principles.
it, no, it won't be geared to the council, obviously, it's geared to a work-based environment, but it's the same.
It's the
same
principle
kind of
that-
work, it's the principle, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. That gives us something to start with. Thank you. Yes.
Is it anything that bulk could help us? I'm just writing
Yeah,
that
just
down. I
writing
think
it down.
I'll have a look into
They
that
might have
as
a
well.
set, yeah, sort of
Yes.
pro forma type thing
Yes.
almost.
Mm.
That'd be useful. All right. Okay, on.
Yes.
Covered that one adequately. Good. Okay. Just wanted to update you on the next item there, sources of income and funding applications. Sources of income, we've got that table whereby we've identified potential sources, the more obvious ones. Two that we're pursuing at the moment are the Give Lane Community Fund, which is some £2,900 a year for the next 10 years. And we're looking to use some of that towards funding the defibrillator case. We've got agreement from the school for that to be sited on the outside of the school building, so that's all tickety-boo in writing. We had one company coming in about 2,500, managed to speak to another company yesterday. They can come in or they can provide one for about 2,000, and they'll also do the training as well as part of the package. So their proposal I saw in my mailbox briefly just prior to coming to this meeting. So that's moving on. The Give Lane Fund, its cycle is we have to apply by the end of September, so we're okay on time frame, so I think that one will just continue to move forwards. Okay, so that's quite positive, I think. And there's nothing to stop us considering Give Lane for using Give Lane for any other requirements before the end of September. So there's options there, and also for Give Lane for other things next year. So we can have a rolling agenda of things to go from there. The other one is the local area forum. Some of you have seen the Megan Police Community Support Officer in earlier on. I've been given positive noises by Bucks County Council Localities Manager Paul Hudson about our case for closed circuit television being installed on the corner on the apex of the western side of the pavilion to provide us with pan tilt zoom capability across the whole of the park. This has very kindly given us the central government guidance documents from which we've got to develop policy and procedures on how to manage the use of such facilities. We had a pre-meeting with the police officer who has given us feedback on the antisocial behaviour and the actions that they've been taking to the point that they're waiting to interview somebody about an incident, so that's quite encouraging. We've been taking our own steps to try and minimise it, but her reaction in that meeting was that, as part of the public's benefit as well, was that we have a case, it's the right thing to do in this park to install that sort of equipment. So that's local area forum. We have to put, thank you very much indeed, that's very kind. Somebody had a halo or something. We have to put our case in by the 17th of August. So again, we're in the right sort of time frame to get that done, and that should be, if we're successful, the word was that they've got £14,000 unassigned at the moment, and we're looking for 2,500. Then we're in the, if everything goes smoothly, we should hear positively about that in September. So again, not too far away. So the two funding application sources of income don't think we've had any more Section 106 correspondence recently,
No,
have we?
no,
So
no,
we
nothing.
know what we've got in the pot, but
Yeah,
no more than
no,
that.
nothing further.
No,
no.
no, okay. And we need to send Mr. Houston our shopping list of projects.
Are we ready to do that now?
No, I think because you were getting prices for muggers and things like that, so there's still a couple of things.
Not really.
We don't have to do it now, but what I want to follow up was the point that Councillor Paternoster made when I wrote to Councillor Chappell about ways in which we could get some funding, that perhaps Section 106 should be doing highways improvements for things like the crossing between the school and the Anthony Hall Church side, and also the yellow lines around the school access. I've not heard back in the last 10 days from Councillor Chappell, so I need to follow that one up. But they will probably come off our list if there's a positive way forward with Section 106 highways improvement budget. But most of the lines in here are complete, yes.
Can I just go back one step into other muggers and stuff? Have we made any progress with the skate guys?
Yes, I got half pipe quote
Yeah.
at 20,000 and a grind box
Yes.
at £1,500. However, I think you've managed to find better value for money. So
We've got a half pipe for 10,000, but we haven't checked it. We haven't checked it out. We're still doing the playground and bucks at the moment.
Okay.
So-
Any feedback from the guy who came to
No,
talk to us?
we've-
Nothing.
no, we've assured him we'll involve him. We just
Okay.
we've sort of bottomed on what we're trying to
Because
do.
it's on the wish list, so we,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
I
the
just wondered
council need to
how
prioritise
that's
what
got.
we want to spend the money
Yeah,
on.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
So yeah, we haven't forgotten him.
No, good.
So that's something I know that we need to do, because Mr. Houston's waiting for us to give him this list such that he's got clear targets.
Yeah, that's right.
to
When
put on
you
it.
mentioned it, yeah.
Okay, so any questions on income funding applications and things like that where we are at the moment? Hello there. Yeah.
Hi, sorry, I was a little bit late. I was trying to find the building. Have the PCSO's already been in?
Yes, she was in at 7.
Okay, I was told to come at 7:30. So,
All right. Can we catch up with you at the end of the meeting?
if you're happy to do that, I'm the
Yeah.
antisocial behaviour coordinator for the district council.
Yeah, unfortunately we're now in sort of council meeting, so
Yeah.
we'll have to pick up on that one later.
Okay, what time?
Probably going to be probably about 40 minutes.
Okay.
Or do you want to come? Shall we talk to you offline? If you can't stay, should we talk to you offline? And
Well, I'm quite happy to come back and speak to a couple of you at that time that's convenient to you if you want to just crack on tonight.
yeah, please, can we do that? I'm sorry you
so-
got the wrong time.
No, that's fine. I was just
Yeah.
for 7:30.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to come back. You've mentioned a couple of people that I'm working with anyway, so tonight. How shall I get in contact? Just via...
With me.
Okay, lovely.
Okay.
Okay, brilliant. And I will see you soon then.
Okay,
That'll be
fine.
convenient.
Sorry.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So, the last item on the finance and staff is the staffing subcommittee. Joe's given us an update on the recruitment process for the assistant clerk.
Other applications?
There are applications.
Many?
We've had 8 applications, and we've had, I haven't counted them up, about so probably between 16 and 20 inquiries, to which I've sent out the job description. We're shortlisting on Saturday, but there were still 2 days to go. I mean, I had 2 today, so I'll probably get 4 tomorrow. You know, it accelerates, doesn't it, towards the closing date. So I think it will be healthy.
Good.
And the idea is to interview on Thursday the 20th,
Yeah, Thursday the
That's
20th.
right, yeah.
with a view to bringing it back through finance and staff and back to this committee in a month's time.
So hopefully it comes on the 2nd of September.
It's
We'll
not too bad then.
put forward a recommendation.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Anything else from a subcommittee?
Not especially. The only couple of things is, well, obviously we'll have to make arrangements and buy some equipment for a second assistant clerk. And the only other one is that Jill is commencing her training in October, her Silka serious study.
Yes, yeah, I'm attending the course already, but I'm enrolling on it in October. It's because you've only got a year from enrolling, so I don't want to enrol too early and not have the time to do it in the time frame.
Have you done your cemeteries course, one?
Yes.
Don't dig that one up.
Oh, God.
You did.
Yes, I have in my cemetery school.
You sure you didn't pre-arrange that one?
You didn't put that in your report.
Terrible.
For some reason I forgot.
You forgot, you didn't mention
I
that.
forgot to
With
put
the
that in my
indulgence
report.
of, with the indulgence of the
Inspiring.
councillors, I'd like to revisit an element of the clerk's report, which I think is quite. We had a.
Do you want to go?
In the body of the report.
Do you want to go there? I think that situation has,
Been resolved.
well, it hasn't been resolved, but I'm digging to the bottom of it. Sorry.
Fine, right,
I'm
okay.
getting to the bottom of it.
Fine.
Yes, there has been a development today, actually.
Oh, okay, you can brief me on that one then. Right, okay, fine. So, moving on, planning.
Planning. Oh, right. Okay. Few things. First of all, Carol sent a letter to Zahir Mohammed, referenced the educational problems within the village. The planning committee resolved that I in the end have sent an additional letter to Councillor Mohammed with our views on it as well. I've received no reply, which doesn't surprise me. That was sent about a week ago. You've had copies of that. That's been around, so that's the first thing. Had acknowledgement from Steve and Pat Davis, who were the people that wondered about the problems with a seemingly bit of land between Stairwood Development and Bishop's Field, which is where they live. I went to see the site manager, that was all resolved, and they just sent a note back saying thanks very much for sort of efforts, which was quite nice of them. The TPOs at 16 Green End Street still ongoing. I haven't heard anything back. I'm chasing. And the same applies to 1 Putnam's Drive, which was the land grab. I've sent that off to a guy called Mr. Malambo in Bucks County Council, and he's received it, but I've heard no more since. And that is to chase as well. Both of those items ongoing into chase. The culvert meeting we had with 3 of us. We're there, Jean, and myself, at different times. You've requested a beach possibility to go on that, and there's a further meeting with them coming up some time. I can't remember, we've got it. So many dates flashing around in my mind.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, which is at AVDC.
County Hall.
County Hall, yeah. So that's ongoing as well. I think it's taken a rather long time, that. So yeah, Alan's, you're attending that on time. Yeah. Next item, neighbourhood plan. We've had a couple of further meetings, but of course you've already, Jill has covered some of that already. The launch is on the 4th and 5th of September, which we all know about. Members of the steering committee, especially Keith and Alec, have been highly involved in getting that sorted for us. We've gone with some other help from the village as well, which is all to the good. The Anthony Hall has already been booked. There's not much more to say about that in that sense. You had a bit of a bombshell the last day or so. Reference AVDC, Mrs. Susan Kitchen, who's head of planning, and she seems to view neighbourhood plans and with a slightly jaundiced eye, it seems now. We've had a communication from Mr. Poll, Martin de Poll, who was the guy who organised the Winslow plan. He's up in arms about it. It seems, according to what we read initially from local government and EU rulings, it was meant to be to give sort of great weight to any planning decisions in the future, really, almost more than great weight. But she's chosen to interpret this as not quite that, due to one case by the Secretary of State who lost an appeal. But it seems to be, after reading through it, it wasn't particularly the fact that the fundamentals were incorrect, it's the fact that the case presented by the Secretary of State was very poorly done, and the judge threw that one out and allowed the plan to go ahead. And she seems to have leapt on this one, but there's been another letter from a guy from ICOH, I think it was Neil Mine, who's absolutely dissembled that, taken it apart, quoted other cases. So it's really up in the air. There's been a rebuttal sent around by AVDC saying they're not doing this, they haven't abandoned it. but they're not having much weight to it, so we don't really know. But they've also said they want to carry on with the neighbourhood plan and everything else. So we're progressing with that as well as we can. There's nothing more to be said about that, really. And this presumably is going to be resolved shortly with the APDC and the fact about this case that's going on.
Can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
I think Councillor Paternoster.
Oh, sorry, I can't see. I can't
Something
see. This hair's
So
obscuring my
if that's
face.
okay, I'd like to invite you to.
Look at my hair, really.
Yeah, what happened with the neighbourhood plan is that there was a Court of Appeal decision.
Yeah.
It's called Woodcock Holdings against Secretary of State. And it's what the judge said on that. They had an emerging plan. And it's only the housing policies that are involved in it. They have this emerging plan in any case. And we know that the emerging plan has never carried very much weight. And the judge found in favour of the developer because this has been a point, it was an emerging plan, but he then extended his judgment and said that that also applies to made plans, that's ones which have been adopted in areas where there's no 5-year housing land supply, which of course is us. So what we did, it went to our planning barrister who came back and the way that has been interpreted is that if you have got housing policies, and if I put it as a negative housing policy, that is, you've got allocations and you are capping those allocations. So if you've made allocations, you have capped the numbers, or you have drawn the settlement boundary so tightly that there's no room for expansion there, then those are the policies which will not stand until our Vale of Aylesbury local plan is in place and we've got our 5-year housing land supply. That's the position we're in. What will happen is that we've actually got a planning inquiry starting in November in Hadnam, where we have exactly this position. So it'll be interesting to see how the inspector deals with that. But that's all we have said. We have not told people to stop their neighbourhood plans. Where you are at the moment, it's not going to affect you at all because we are hoping, I say hoping because I don't want the deadline extended any further, the Vale of Aylesbury plan will be in operation by the end of 2016.
What about the, Carol, what about the fact that Aylesbury now demonstrated a 5.3 housing supply, although it's not approved in the plan as such, is that
no, I'll give you a little update on that.
Yeah.
That went back to the first housing and economic development land, housing header. It went back to the first header that we had done just for Aylesbury Vale. That was looking at our housing needs as such. What it didn't look at was economic development needs. And so what has happened that they have had to do this sort of second run through, this time looking at how many jobs we can offer in that period. And that figure has come out higher, if I put it like that, it's about 1,400. So
what higher? The demand figure?
Yeah, the housing number figure that we need. It's not just for our own housing needs, but also for our economic development needs as well. So we're up to about 1,400. That is now on our website. It's in operation. So we have got the 5-year housing land supply using those figures.
We have.
We haven't.
We have not.
We're down to 3 point something. Then in addition to that, we have coming up in September. We've had to look at our housing market area. Thank you very much.
So the economic bit, is this sort of where Bucks Advantage come in, that they're proposing economic development within the area?
Yeah, no, it's not really that at all, because it's looking at the East-West Rail Corridor, with the station coming at Winslow, and it predicts that we will have 1,900 jobs.
Okay. That's through sort of government infrastructure, if you like it.
Yeah, yes, through that. So that's why the figure has gone up. But number 3 is coming along, and that is we've had another Hedna done, this time with Chiltern and Wickham, because as you know we're expected to take their overspill. The figures for that will be available in September.
The question begs why, of course.
But then Buckinghamshire has always sent all its housing north in Milton Keynes and Aylesbury Vale.
Correct.
it's been doing that. You know, it's the historical pattern. We've got green belt, we can't touch it, it's all coming into the Vale or Milton Keynes, that's always been the way. So that's where we stand. We haven't got a 5-year housing override, although we had one for about 2 weeks.
Two months ago, yeah.
That's the position we're in, so please continue with your neighbourhood plan. I mean, I don't think that there will be a problem by the time you get to this stage of your emerging neighbourhood plan and your policies starting to have any weight at all. We should be in there with our local plan.
But the judgment is clear that if you're not there with the local plan, if your local plan fails again, our neighbourhood plan will not have any weight.
Well, it depends what your housing policies are and how you write your housing policies. If you, on the allocation side, we'll have to have a look at that. But as long as you don't cap it, and as long as you don't draw a very tight settlement boundary, as Great Hallwood has done, then there should be a problem with it. But I know it's changing the whole time. Everybody's changing the goalposts.
Useful.
But carry on as you are at the moment.
Until we run out of
So we
ideas.
haven't said that we are not supporting neighbourhood plans. We are supporting neighbourhood plans.
Until that judgment is overturned, there's a risk
Yes,
that
I have
neighbourhood plans are worthless.
I have asked. We've had one, legal advice from one planning barrister. I have asked for some more legal advice before we go to our September development management meeting, when we will probably be looking at a Great Hallwood plan. Unfortunately, with Great Hallwood plan, what's happened is that they have their allocations for 2 sites, and of course you can guess what's happened. 2 more sites have come forward which aren't in their plan, and so we've got to have a look at those 2 sites. But that we're not going with them to development management until September. Could I just say, be very careful how you answer some of these, how can I say, the round robins that have been making their way around. There are legal implications with one of them. It's with our legal team, and so I think it's better just to sit on it and
Read it.
not get
You've
involved.
responded, have you?
No, we just read it.
I won't
No,
meet
no.
with any of them unless I have a legal representative with me, and that's the position we're in.
I'll hand stand by.
Yeah, wow, okay. Well, there we go. Okay, moving on to smaller things. Arla Lighting, I've had some complaints about that. I've finally managed to arrange a meeting with them for the 12th of August. That's just nighttime extra light, making the whole village really illuminated. So I'm meeting them on the 12th, so we can sort something out there. Small applications, 15-02295 108 London Road, which was the one just over from here, which we talked about, and we agreed that we thought that was a decent. So that's been actually put in with supported the application on that one. Okay. 15-02356, which is 15 Milton Road. That's still to be assessed. It's a small one. John hasn't sort of picked up on that one, but it's just over in the sort of cut through the ex-council estate, if you like, goes through to New Road. It's around now. I popped around there this evening, took a photograph of it. It's a semi-detached bungalow. People on the right are wanting to go into the roof. 2 dormers at the front, long dormer at the back, and going from a hip roof at the end to a straight gable and a flat roof extension. They're obviously doing a lot to their place. They've got a new fence outside. They're obviously keen to improve the property. I knocked on the lady next door, asked her whether she had any problems with this. And she said no, she was just a bit worried about building up in the roof, will it cause her any problems? And I said, well, that's down to building control really, and there's no way it's going to be any access to your house through there, which I think is what she was worried about. So she's got no objection. My view is that we should just say no, neither support nor object to that. Up to anyone, we've got until the 10th of August. So I'll leave that for...
Not long.
Yeah. If you want to pop round, let me know. Either of you, just have a quick whiz round and see what you think. And then the big one, 1502134, which is the 93 or 91 houses going down College Road South. Another massive one I've circulated to all of the planning committee and to everybody else the objection I wrote in. Essentially, it's very difficult to object to these things. Carol's talked about, you know, the plan and all this sort of stuff. I've gone for that really on the NPPF, the sustainability side of things, especially with regard to schooling, which is our ongoing problem with that. Again, that reverts back to the item 1 I said, Councillor Mahar, but we have no reply about that. But I picked out lots of points in NPPF, objected to it and made as many points as I can, really, on behalf of the village. It really is the infrastructure. And they're already putting 85 in Brook Street, Green End Street, whichever way you split the traffic coming out. Another 91 in there is going to be amazing. I just don't know how they're going to do that, but there we go. I also had, I think, when you put Martin Jarvis, the guy from Western Turville,
Yes.
in touch with me. I spoke to him yesterday and today. He understands that Hampton Fields is going back in again in about 3 weeks or so, or whatever. Anyway, going in, which you all know is the big one across there. It was refused, I think he said, on a technicality pretty much about the road, wasn't it? So we'll see what they come up with on that, we don't know. He's also asked that they are preparing to fight that and their other developments, and they want to involve council, professional council, because this seems to be, on the planning committees and stuff that I've been to, where we fall down. With all respect to AVDC, the lawyers they come up against seem to be a lot sharper and more experienced in this. This guy wants to get some professional counsel in. He's given me a figure, but he's going to be ringing round, and it will come to you, or otherwise it can come via me, but he would like some financial help from the parish council. Something to be discussed at a future date. Okay, so that will come for a thing. That just about sums up the planning committee report on all those items.
Okay.
What's the next one? Name of the plan I've done, planning committee report. But it's speed reduction, that's sort of got a question mark, that one.
I'll do that.
Yeah, because we talked about the speed watch thing, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'll hand over to you and all for that.
Okay, fine. On our shopping list of projects that we're investing in over time, October you particularly raised traffic calming measures throughout the village.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I don't think we've looked at yet, but we want to consider. But one of the things that came to our attention is this thing about the speed watch scheme. We have done some research, we've spoken to the Thames Valley Police. I have to say that they've gone particularly lukewarm on the whole programme in the feedback that we've got from them. And one of the other requirements as specified on the Thames Valley Police website is that the Parish Council has to have its own insurance for roadside working, which we don't have. Therefore, the motion is that we haven't yet endorsed the implementation of the scheme within the parish for the various reasons, in the sense of the police's view on it and also the lack of insurance. First of all, are there any comments before I formally propose that motion?
No.
So I'd like to propose the motion that the council notes it does not endorse the implementation of the speed watch scheme in the parish. The proposer. And the seconder? And the show, that was Toby and Colin. Show of hands, please, in favour of the motion. Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, Colin, happy on planning now?
Yep, I think that
Fine.
completes it.
Got everything from your
I think that's
perspective?
the right word, but
Pardon?
Well, yeah, happy is probably not the correct
So,
word.
tell us
Yeah.
the context of progress of the meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you. So on to
Before
the...
you move on, Mr.
No,
Chairman.
I'm sorry, not now.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. In terms of the Facilities Committee, Alan,
Right,
would
sport.
you like to lead on this?
Yes, sport and recreation. Aston Clinton Football Club have now signed and returned their permit along with the fee for the coming season. And this season they will be using the pitch adjacent to the Cinder car park. The Colts permit is still outstanding. The Colts are very aware that until the permit is back, signed and paid for, Colts football will not be taking place on the park. Aston Clinton Football Club approached the council for permission to install permanent, I put into inverted commas, dugouts, sort of shelters, alongside the Cinder car park. I've seen in tonight's inbox in the email that Mike has sent a diagram and some pictures of what they're proposing. Yeah, that's it. Which I believe will come to as a motion at the next council meeting for the actual things. Am I right on that, Peter?
So this motion is being set aside for tonight?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, fine, Jill? Set that on the side. Okay.
Right. I'm not going to use the word mugger because everyone keeps thinking.
Mooger, call it Mooger.
No, there's no O's in it.
You? Mooger.
We've met with 3 companies regarding the installation of a multi-use games area, which should be looking at being situated adjacent to the play park. And what this would indeed do is provide an all-weather games area in the park, aimed mainly at the teenage kids. Given that the youngsters have got the play park itself, we established that one of the reasons that they like to break into the all-weather pitch was it's got goalposts and things there that made their game of football a lot better. And the research we've done, and we've been to see some stuff today at Amersham, is that this equipment is very, very robust. It appears amazingly popular with the kids, didn't it? And I believe it will bring a benefit to the park, and it will be non-flood lit, so it's self-regulating in terms of what time it finishes. It finishes when it goes dark, and that's it because they can't see what they're doing. And the degree of robustness that we've seen into it, some of them look like they've just come out of, well, we've scrubbed some of them with the equipment. But one that we looked at today was very impressive because not only was it robust, it was decently designed, but also it was very low noise.
Yeah.
You could kick a ball at it and you could not hear that rattling of the fence and things because it just didn't do it. And that's been in situ for 2 years.
What size is it? What size is it?
We're looking at 28 metres by 14.
Wow.
But one of the chaps is going to do a design
big.
for us on an L shape to have like a games board area. There are different boards you can have for different kinds of things.
So that we can
Loads.
take an area outside of use the outside of the court as well as the inside of it.
Where would we think of siting this?
Sort of where you've got the kick wall and the sort of the solitary basketball thing there, sort of that area
Beyond it,
backwards.
yes.
So it's
Oh, okay.
completely,
So
it won't be anywhere near the football. It'll be out of that side, but just before the skate park, before the rise in the
And I think we
ground.
need to be conscious of a very good separation between that and the play park. Just bearing in mind the different age groups that could be using it. Older, further away.
You don't have to worry. I mean, we went
But
to
the
Amersham
skate
today
park's
and it
older,
was.
isn't it?
I mean, it's the same.
No, I'm just thinking about if you've got little kids in the play park and there's some Larry language going on with the bigger ones.
Jill
then
will
there's
go out and
possible-
word with them.
Well, she may not always be here though, June, so I
It's
think
not a problem.
I think the distance.
We don't
helps.
experience the problem with the skate park, and that again is
Very much older.
is very well
No,
self-regulated.
I understand that. I think if I were a parent with young children there, I would want there to be some separation to avoid any possible intimidation or.
We'll take the comment on board.
Yeah.
No, we'll take the comment on board.
I think the concept's brilliant.
But we felt we're not doing anything for the teenagers in what we do, and that's where we were coming from. Grounds maintenance. This was quite interesting. It was quite interesting walking around the village. We met with the probation service community payback scheme supervisor to assess what work they could carry out for us, and amongst the opportunities we identified were like clearing the debris from ACL 8, painting of the bus shelters, though she did say they couldn't go above 1 metre off the ground. But when we went round the back of the bus shelter by Pavilion Gardens, the ground's already 2 metres tall, so you can just stand on it and paint the roof. But they can also look at things, grounds maintenance tasks, such as painting the fences down by the car park, you know, the little wooden ones, putting preservative on them, clearing undergrowth.
Yeah, that was important, wasn't it?
Yeah, repainting the changing rooms, what happens is they come along with a team of 8 people and a supervisor. They basically provide their own equipment, we provide the materials, and we provide refreshments. They're not allowed to go into areas like the cafe while they're undertaking these tasks. And our conclusion was that we could probably keep quite a lot of them occupied for quite a long time with the list of tasks that we've got to do. And it costs us a mug of coffee, basically.
They're very heavily supervised.
Yeah, very heavily supervised. But walking around the park and through some of this, we kept bumping into people that the lady knew, didn't we? So that's ongoing, waiting for them to get back to us. She's gone off on holiday. When she gets back, we hope to have some firm proposals. So if you see people in brightly coloured vests working in the area of the park and the village, that's what it's about. In terms of the surplus grounds maintenance equipment, that is now online. The auction is open, though we don't expect people to be placing bids on it yet, but it's there to see. And if you look on the Parish Council Facebook page, there's a link to it, get you onto the website where it's being auctioned. We've had a walk around with Buckingham Landscapes to look at what work we need to do for the autumn, given that there are areas of the park which have not had any maintenance for a number of years now. Given the success we had in largely bringing back the area by the meadow pitch back into general use, we now want to look at tackling the areas at the other end of the park. Like there's a huge nettle bed directly opposite the tennis courts, where the nettles themselves are about 6 foot high. But we don't know what's inside it. We don't necessarily think for certain that the ground is good in there. It would need to be made.
No, it's not. It's all full of old bits of concrete.
But we're going to get that. That is the site for the proposed picnic area. So one goes with the other in terms of getting that cleared out, and that we can then assess what's necessary for the proposed picnic area to bring that to fruition. And we're also going to look at clearing back the undergrowth right around the perimeter of the park. If you look at it, the park is getting smaller as each season goes on, and the lawnmowers are sort of 2 foot further in, 2 foot further in. That what was a line of weeds by the fence is now 8 foot into the park. So for the autumn, we're going to get that all cleared back so we start properly next spring. We're also going to be clearing the undergrowth from under the trees under the playground. This is again one of the things that's been brought to our attention through the summer when we've had the hot days. Is there's very little shade in the park where people can use it. And a fairly simple solution would be to take the tree line, base tree line, up to about 2 metres, so people can actually go under the trees. It's just reacting to the comments that we've received. We had an incident, well, it wasn't just had the incident, a tree in Green Park that borders the land on Stablebridge Road came down about 2 weeks ago, and we got I'll say it's a query from the landowner that we had a tree which they felt was unsafe hanging over the same area of land.
Was this in a scrubby bit of land at the end of the park here you're talking about?
Yes.
Beyond the pond.
Beyond the pond.
Okay.
Where they were put planning permission in for the house on Stablebridge
That
Road.
corner bit, yeah.
It was there. One at Green Park come down and gone into it. We have one that hangs over by about 20 or 30 feet.
Okay.
A big tree. We're not tree experts, but the people that we've consulted felt that actually our tree was all right. But in going through the woods and looking at it in a bit more detail, what we have identified is that there are some trees in there which are very obviously unsafe. Now, we've commissioning work to get those removed as a matter of urgent safety, but we don't know the state of the other trees. So we're looking at commissioning a tree expert to do a survey of the woods and certify that what trees we need to deal with and what trees are perfectly safe. And we also want to then look at preserving those woods on an ongoing basis, if necessary, with TPOs. But what we want is a wood that is safe. Because we found one where...
Is there such a thing?
I don't know, but there's the ones that are clearly unsafe.
Yes, there are some.
They're the ones without trees.
Ones with stumps left.
Mainly won't trip over
Yeah, we're sort of not sure where you go with that. I mean,
Well, we're going to get somebody who knows to come in,
Basically,
do a
to
survey of the woods and tell us which ones, in their opinion, and they are certified and insured accordingly, to give an opinion on what is safe and what isn't. And when we have that report, then we can act upon it.
okay.
Yeah.
I accompanied the tree surgeon to have a look at the trees in question overhanging that gentleman's land, of which there are 3 trees. He gave us his opinion, but his opinion is not something he can put in writing or with appropriate credential
That's
assurance.
exactly what I mean. You know, you never got the.
That's a surgeon. The arboreal consultant is qualified and insured to give that advice. So on those particular situations,
Yeah.
we have to look at the 3 trees that that are adjacent to that neighbour's land. The rest of the woodland area is what Alan's also bringing into broader consideration. But those 3 trees.
Yeah, I think if you bring the whole wood in, you'll find you're probably going to knock down 60% of the trees.
But if that's what it takes to make it safe, Colin, I don't see as we have an option.
I don't think a wood is an intrinsically
Then you can,
safe place to go. It's what a wood is.
Colin, have you been into those woods?
Yeah,
Have you looked up?
yeah.
And do you feel safe?
Well, I'm walking in the woods, so I should be aware of where I am, what I'm doing. I mean, you let the guys go in there and do team building exercises in there. If you start going down this route, you'll be saying, well, there's a stump there, we better grind that out. There's a branch fallen down here, that can be tripped over.
We're not going on that route. We're going on things that are inherently unsafe.
And
A tree stump is
Well-
not inherently unsafe.
well, arguably it could be, couldn't you trip over it?
No,
break your
Yeah.
leg.
I'm sorry, that's being pedantic, because there are trees there that are held up by other trees. And if one tree gave way, the whole damn lot would come down. That is inherently unsafe.
If when you walk around the woods, in the woods up on Wendover Woods, the trees like that all over the place, and you do that at your own risk. They do not take the trees down that are leaning against other trees. They do not
They
take
do when
them.
they're dead.
No, they don't.
I think
They
you're very,
do
very
not.
careful going down this route because
Yeah.
you're in a situation where
I think.
you're trying to certify something safe that
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not trying to
say.
We're not trying to certify anything.
I
We're
don't
paying
think
some...
it assists personally. I wouldn't go down that route.
Well, I feel that it would be wrong not to. If we've identified a potential danger, it would be remiss of us to ignore it.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's a decision that you can just make. I think that actually could take us down the route we're going up with a worse than position we would be now.
Yeah. Once we start doing that, then
I think
if you want to put a sign up saying you use this wood at your own.
I think we'll sign up saying don't go wood it too
Yeah.
dangerous.
Well, those signs don't carry any weight anyway.
Well, they don't know, but I think once you go down this route, it's the same as you have to be very careful what you do, otherwise you make yourself in a
Well,
worse
I'm
position.
sorry, I think, I have seen a tree in those woods that I would not walk under, and I think it is beholden upon us, in our position,
Well, that's
to
your
deal with that.
opinion, and my opinion is
Yeah,
not.
but which is why we want to get an expert, who is an expert.
Yeah, but
to
as
give
I
their
said,
opinion.
But
it's
I'm not
like
sure
a-
if you can go down that route either.
No,
We
because-
need to get ourselves in a position where we're actually getting a document which would actually hang us.
Yeah,
Be very
you're just going to
careful.
again say you've taken down all those trees and you still manage to find one that's...
Where do you stop as well? Do you start saying that nettles are inherently dangerous or...
No,
you have to-
nettles aren't
yeah.
inherently dangerous.
But where do you stop?
They are for
Dan?
children.
So how are we going to resolve this?
We ask people, there's lots, I think we have, I think we need to discuss it in more detail. I don't think that subcommittee has a right to take that down that legal route.
Well, this started off by being a question because we've had a complaint from a neighbour with 2 trees that are overhanging literally by 30
Okay,
foot into
well
the
the tree's
land.
overhanging someone
He
else's
says
land.
they're
He has
dangerous.
permission to chop that, to take off the overhanging part of the
But he
tree.
wants it crowned, he wants the 2
Well, that-
trees crowned.
He may want what he wants,
Yes,
but he's not
but
going
we
to
don't
definitely get
know
it.
whether they should or they shouldn't be, because if they are swinging in the wind and they do fall down and we haven't done anything about
If
it,
that's a specific
damage.
tree overhanging his land, and he thinks that's a danger to his land, then that is probably a slightly different case where you can have those 1 or 2, 3
well,
trees
that's why
assessed.
it needs assessing.
But
That's a different
moving
case.
into the rest of the wood,
So I think
Not at all.
the original premise was to examine the trees in question on the neighbouring situation.
I don't think that's an issue.
And also we need
That's
to
fine.
determine, because there are neighbouring trees to those trees on the boundary, trees along that line, which already have TPOs on. So then those trees we do need to investigate, because they may actually already have TPOs on. In which case, we can't touch them, he can't touch them, without planning details, as I understand it.
Correct.
Right?
So that bit of investigation needs to be done before we go any further.
But I don't want at the moment the council spending money having this guy wandering around that whole wood assessing every single tree within that, which will cost a fortune.
Do you know what I mean?
And his report will
So I
cost a
think,
fortune.
from a collective council perspective, I think we need to look at the two scenarios, which are different. There are 3 trees, and there is the broader wood context. And that needs to be brought back as 2 costed and balanced proposals through the facilities committee.
Yeah. Well, Jill's getting a cost.
But at the moment she's looking at the whole wood.
Yeah,
But she's getting a cost of how much it would cost to do it.
Yeah, but of the whole wood.
Yes.
We have 2 priorities. We have the immediacy of the complaint of the trees on the boundary, and we have your broader perspective about the need to look at the whole of the wood. Am I correct?
Yes.
So I think we need 2 costs.
Mm.
And that's what the facilities committee needs to debate and then bring back if necessary to council.
I don't think the facilities committee has the authority to make a decision on the whole, does it? Because if the people are so opposed to it.
No, but my point is the facilities committee needs to bring a proposal back to council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Agreed.
Okay?
Yeah.
Can we work with that one? So I think we've got 2 scenarios. We have the immediacy of the complaint, which we need to understand how we can move forward with, and we have the broader wood requirements.
Yeah. And I still have a very specific concern about some trees which, in my opinion, as a totally a layperson, are at this moment in time inherently unsafe
And that
and in
needs
danger of coming down potentially on someone.
And that needs to be itemised, I would suggest, in the case being made for the broader arboreal consultant task. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
In respect of the